Well, good morning, everyone. This beautiful March morning in San Juan County, New Mexico. And we want to welcome you to the Fellowship of Meeting Zoom, Fellowship of Spirit Zoom meeting, as well as our in-person church meeting. So we'll all be together today, and we're glad that you're here and hope that you have a wonderful time. We all intend to. So anyway, let's see. We're pretty sparsely attended this morning, I think probably because the daylight savings jump ahead probably got some of our members. Steve said he woke up late, and I know I got up on time, but I still move slow. But I got here and I come an hour and a half early for the book study, so I'm usually here for the service, which makes it good. Anyway, Jerry, do we have any announcements that we need to make at this time?
No, I don't think so. No, pretty sure not. Everything's good.
The only thing I heard you talking to Don, and apparently we caught no animals in our trap this week, and so it was a good week, right?
Right.
Okay. We have been having trouble with skunks and even a raccoon that has been burrowing underneath of the church, and but Jerry has been trapping them, and we have all sorts of things that are to deter that from happening. We made some changes to the foundation earlier this in the winter, and so they must be paying off because we have less animals to deal with.
Very true. Very true.
Does everyone hear me okay? All right. I'm still getting adjusted. Hi. We have a new face this morning. Could you tell us your name? And Nikita. Okay. Are you from here in Farmington?
No, I am from Victoria, Texas.
Victoria, Texas. I know where that is. Yeah. So you're down in.
Jerry mentioned you'd be here.
Yes, I messaged her. She's like, I'm sorry I can't meet you. But I'm happy to be here.
Well, she had a cold this morning and is unable. She came and helped us to get going for our book study, and then she went home. But she's on Zoom for us over there. So, all right. Let's see, someone that's online, or does someone want to make an opening prayer? All right. Well, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come together to share in love our spiritual evolution with each other. We ask that you would enlighten each and every one of us as we go through our service today, and bless our speaker from down in Belize, that she may have a wonderful and complete life. We ask that you would bless this fellowship, and that you would protect us and keep us all safe. Amen. So, all right. So, now we're going to have a song. Well, wait, hold it. Okay. Our reflective moment.
No songs.
Love. You guys want to follow along with me or talk?
We will.
Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows through one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. And that's what happens whenever we come here and we have a procedure and a place, is that we actually create sacred space for this to happen. And that was written by our departed member, Midge Jones, who was Steve Barker's mother-in-law and Jenny Jones's mother, who we just cherished and loved and enjoyed to the end of her days. But she passed away about a year and a half ago, we miss her, but she left us a legacy in that reading. So that's really good, and we appreciate it. We'll always try to honor that and honor her in her memory. So anyway, so I had another thing, another organization that I follow, and the leader of that organization was famous for saying that what you do for yourself dies with you, but that which you do for others is immortal, and it lives forever. So, and that's kind of what Midge did. She created something for all of us, and it'll live forever. That's really good. So, all right, now we're going to have some music. Go for it.
This is a song everybody here knows. Do you have a little book up there?
You need this.
No, I don't need that. It either works or it doesn't work. This little book, it's got a song called Affirmation in it.
Say the title again.
It's called Affirmation.
Affirmation in our,
Yes, the VA's.
yeah, in one of our loose leaf binders. There you go, Nikita. She got it figured out right away.
And we'll do it first person and plural.
How's it sounding out there? Okay.
You are beautiful. You are strong. You are healthy. You are whole. You are radiant. You are powerful. You are now coming into your own. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am healthy. I am whole. I am radiant. I am powerful. I am now coming in my own. We are beautiful. We are strong. We are healthy. We are whole. We are radiant. We are powerful. We are now coming into our own. You are beautiful. You are strong. You are healthy. You are whole. You are radiant. You are powerful. You are now coming into your own.
All right. Thank you, Fred. We always appreciate your music, always. So we now have Brother Steve Barker is going to give us our spiritual reading, and he assured me a while ago that he was ready and willing to go.
Yeah, in a different venue, but we'll try this one. Okay. Today's writing is from Fellowship. Oh boy, 1 hour makes a big difference. Yeah, sometimes. Of course, recently I had to deal with jet lag of 5 hours, so that was really amazing.
So this is no big hill for you.
No, it's
Oh.
no big deal. It's just I got caught off guard. I forgot when I went to bed so late last night. But so this is from Science of Mind. Today's reading, and which I don't have the book because Jenny took it with her. She's visiting with grandkids and their parents in Los Alamos for this weekend. And this is today's daily guide. It's called The Game of Life. I have to do this because it's so small. You can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing, and then do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you. That's from Maya Angelou. Do not hesitate to enter into the game of life, but do so with a zest and an enthusiasm that overflows with life. Fill yourself with the radiance of life running over with the power and usefulness. Then shall the world see your light. That's from Ernest Holmes. There is an inner guidance system that once installed into your awareness, illuminates the soul and awakens the divine sense of infinite truth. You become aware of your awareness, a soft and subtle exploration of preference and style, the realization of your unique and glorious individuality, seeing yourself in the reflection and powering up the voltage on your inner knowledge. Woo. It is a brave and courageous soul who shares their newfound freedom, the meaning of presence alive in you. You need not convince, justify, or defend the knowing of your light, not to anyone. This is the holy and sacred unity of spirit remembering that you are spirit remembering. Wholeness and oneness are the infinite and eternal embrace. Know the goodness of your own heart. Know the will and determination of the divine mind has your highest expression of the light it shines through you. Only fear dares to hold your light under a bushel, and the only place that fear exists is in the workings of your own mind. But now in your awakening, you can trust that the power and grace that drew you to this moment can draw only from its own being. All that is in you and around you is drawn from this divine substance. Your unique and unrepeatable expression is pure radiance. Let the world see you brightly. Let us see your zest for a life well lit. The affirmation is, I move through this day with a divine zest and in joyful enthusiasm. For everything I do, I am uniquely qualified to shine the light of spirit in all that I am. I really like the use of the word enthusiasm because I was educated to the fact that it actually means one with God. You're expressing your godliness to people with that zeal and zest. And so today I'm an enthusiastic reader. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. So let your little light shine. Anyway, all right. Today we have Susan Barnes Smith, who is coming to us from Belize. She was co-founder of this fellowship back in the early 90s. I'm not sure about the year, Susan, but she with Randy Barnes, who went on and completed his life this time a few months ago and is now at rest in Belize. They're in a garden of I think a medicine wheel, if I'm not mistaken, that they created just to remember him by. So that's where he has stayed. And Susan has been a cherished member, and we really missed her when we were unable to communicate with her when her and Randy moved down to Belize, but through the magic of Zoom, she has come back and is a valued member of our fellowship. So this morning, she has a long repertoire of stuff that she does. She does energy healing work. She's an accomplished herbologist, and she treats the population of Belize because there's not very much medicine or very many doctors down there, and so she is really helping those people down there, and that's what she has wanted to do her whole life, was just to help people. And so it gives her an excellent opportunity without governmental interference to work down there and do some good work. And we appreciate Susan. So let's go ahead and welcome Susan Barnes Smith this morning.
Thank you, Ron. That's nice. You always give such nice introductions. I love that. Anyway, the topic I'm going to talk about today, I didn't really choose it. Our friend Mike Rose said, I really want to know what is how the Course views the ego and how Masonry or Gnostic knowledge also views the ego. So they kind of he chose the topic for me. And so the question comes up is, why do we even want to know about the ego? And the Course says, be vigilant only for the kingdom of God. However, how can you be vigilant for God or goodness if we're unaware of the alternatives? For all the temptations of the alternatives can be greatly deceiving. Oh, yeah. The ego is a wrong-minded attempt to perceive ourselves as we wish to be rather than as we are. And of course, as we are is as God created us. Consciousness is identified as the domain of the ego. And there are 3 levels of consciousness or awareness: the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. Now, these just happen to correspond with the 3 organs that contain brain cells. This is something new that science has just come to know. And those 3 organs are, of course, the brain, the gut, and the heart. So right now, as you're listening to this talk and everything, this is the conscious mind talking. And this is where we make our choices, because choice is very important. We make the choice between ego or spirit. Now, our subconscious mind, which actually rules up to 95% of our time, is located in our gut, our small intestine, where the microbiome, not like that. Our immune system resides. Okay, now this is the programming we received from our parents, from our teachers, from ministers, peers, and it's down here. And sometimes we're not aware of that this is how we make our decisions, by whatever has been kind of programmed into this. And this is often filled with fears and thoughts, and again, a domain of the ego. So then we have the heart. And that's the superconscious mind. And this is the most electrically active of all our organs. But this is our connection. This is our real connection to the divine. And this is where we feel things with our emotions. So we say, I feel love. Well, what are we? We're created in love. Our creator is love. When we feel these kind of positive, loving, joyful, happy thoughts, okay, these are things that come through the divine. This is choosing spirit rather than the ego. Now, in the Course, there's a description of the ego, and it seems that the ego thinks that it's a call to war, and this call to war is going to deprive us of our peace. Therefore, that kind of thinking gives us absolutely nothing of value. We can speak from the spirit or from the ego, whichever we choose. And remember, this is something important, the choices we make. Now, if we speak from the ego, we are just claiming knowledge instead of affirming it. And you were just talking about knowledge. And of course, knowledge is coming from the spirit. And so when you are ignoring that, you're dispiriting, which means that you're taking yourself away, separating yourself from your creator. Now, to the ego, learning is perceived as frightening because it leads to the relinquishment. The relinquishment, not the destruction of the ego, to the light of spirit. Okay, the ego is afraid of the spirit's joy. And while I'm doing this talk, I want you to be aware of some of the words that I use, okay, because they're going to keep coming up again and again. How do we know? How do we know that we're coming from spirit and not the ego? So the ego being afraid of spirit's joy, and that once we have experienced this, we will withdraw all protection from the ego and become totally without any investment in fear. Okay, fear and the ego are joint things. So our investment is great now because fear is a witness to the separation. And our ego rejoices when we're witnesses to this separation from God. Course tells us that our ego thinking is always wrong. How do we know it's wrong? Because it's chaotic, it's fearful, and because it's the part of our mind that believes in separation, thinking that what another gains, we lose. Ego is the choice for guilt and is totally confused about the reality of who and what we are. So who are we? We are the holy child of God. What are we? We're not this physical self. We're spirit. And those are the things that we need to remember. Okay, ego is really certain that love's dangerous and forgiveness is weak. And with all that said, the Course tells us that the ego mind is afraid of us and that we'll find out that the ego is really nothing and it has no power over us. And even though the ego is a call to war and thinks it is at war with God, it really is never endangered because God did not create the ego. And therefore, the ego is basically absolutely nothing. So don't you think it's time that we stop giving this thing that is nothing so much something and so much space in our minds? And it's time to turn to the spirit, the light within our thoughts. So we're either going to listen to madness or we're going to be willing to hear the truth. So the Holy Spirit is the alternative to the madness of the ego. It is this that is the voice for truth, and it is this that will inevitably be heard. From the Course, God's promises make no exceptions, and He guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Yet it is up to us when this is reached, how long we let an alien will appear to be opposing our creators. That's the rub Shakespeare put in Hamlet. How long will we let this foolish blustering of the ego occupy our minds? So another section from the Course gives some insights. Every response to the ego is a call to war, and war really does deprive us of peace. Yet in this war, there is no opponent. This is the reinterpretation of reality that we must make to secure peace. And the only one we need ever make Those whom we perceive as opponents are really part of our peace, which we are giving up by attacking them. When we give up peace, we're excluding ourselves from it too, not just others. So let's break this down. First, we need to see every ego thought being fear, confusion, depression, guilt, attack, separation, all of those things, for what it is, a call to war. And then believing that we are alone and weak and something outside of us is threatening our peace. Okay, so secondly, we need to view this call that the ego has to fight against someone or something else, knowing that there is no opponent. And when we see others as opponents, we're actually fighting ourselves and robbing ourselves of that peace that we're searching for. Don't you think that fighting ourselves is insanity? For it gives us absolutely nothing. However, when we look at these calls to war through Christ's vision, we realize that those that we have perceived as opponents are really part of our peace. And when we attack those opponents, we give up our peace. This means that the moment we attack others out there, either in action or in thought, okay, thoughts are really important too. We have placed them in a prison of our own making. And now we become their jailer. So a jailer is not free, for he's bound together with his prisoner. And he must be sure that he does not escape. And so the jailer spends his time keeping watch on the prisoner. And the bars that limit the prisoner actually become the world in which the jailer lives, alongside with the prisoner. And it is freedom that the way to liberty depends for both of them. We must set the prisoner free if we wish to be free. So therefore, we want to hold no one prisoner, and we want to release instead of bind this situation. For this is the only way we can be free. And this way is simple. So every time we feel a stab of, and this is from the ego, anger, we realize that we're holding a sword above our head. And it will fall or be averted as we choose. Again, it's always choice, to be condemned or to be free. So therefore, does everyone who seems to tempt us to be angry represent our Savior from the prison house of death. And so we owe him thanks instead of pain. So this passage really puts the ego's way of thinking at risk, and we may be feeling it's impossible to do this, to let go. However, it is through the power of the Holy Spirit that tells us we of ourselves do not do this. We allow healing to be done through us. And we are simply asked to look at the warring calls of the ego, using this new awareness, and to let Spirit lead the way to peace. He will take our little willingness to let forgiveness lead the way and magnify it until we realize the gift of releasing another is really the gift of releasing ourselves. So I guess a while back, there was a CBS News show that did a segment on the Restorative Justice Project. And this was created by the University of Wisconsin's Law School. And the project had been active for 30 years, which I found absolutely amazing, but is just now getting attention. And their goal is to bring together, of course, only the agreement upon both parties that those who have been victimized by crimes or their surviving family members and those who committed the crimes and are now serving a prison sentence are brought together. And so the purpose of these meetings is to hopefully allow both parties to heal. So there was a particular story about a young woman whose brother had been killed by a drunk driver, and she was sharing her transformation. After her brother's death, she did absolutely everything she could to ensure that this drunk driver received the maximum sentence. And during that entire process, and ever since his imprisonment, she never felt any peace. Her hate and anger made her, well, and this is what she said, a terrible mother and a terrible school teacher. And it was only when she was brought together with this man through this project that she was able to find release. The driver did need to be stopped from hurting more people because, as he said, it wasn't the first time he'd driven drunk, but it's just the first time he got caught. And he really was devastated. So both the victim's family and the perpetrator were in a jail of their own minds. And when they came together in a willingness to allow forgiveness to take place, peace and healing occurred. And I know that we've all been in that jail of our minds. Maybe some of you are there right now, but it's time that we stop answering this call for war from the ego perspective of separation and attack, and see the call as an opportunity to remember forgiveness. Forgiveness is the only way to our healing and peace. Because in the end, what we give to another, we give to ourselves. If we cut them off from peace, we have cut ourselves off as well. If they are in the prison of our minds, then we will be the jailer until we realize that this war gives us absolutely nothing. Of our ego, we can do nothing to save ourselves or others. But of our spirit, we can do everything for the salvation of both. So now I'd like to switch over. All of that basically came from the Course. But from a Masonic, or as I look at it, a Gnostic point of view, the ego is a manifestation of the 7 deadly sins. Now, each ego has a name, and the name of a demon, and a virtue. So the first ego is pride. And this demon, so to speak, is Lucifer, who from the Christian point of view waged war against God and was cast out of heaven. And the corresponding virtue is humility, which is bravery, modesty, reverence, unpretentious. Humility is a lesson of the ego, but not for the spirit. Mammon is the demon in charge of the second vice, greed. Now, this can be greed for money, for wealth, for power. And as we all know, all the wealthy, the kings, the princes, they aren't exempt from this. The virtue is charity, which means benevolence, generosity, and even sacrifice. Lust is our third level of ego, and the demon for this is Asmodeus, and the virtue is chastity, purity, abstinence. Now, chastity, by definition, could mean abstinence from sexual relations. However, it also means virtuous actions, decency, and modesty. Leviathan is the demon for the 4th level of ego, envy. And the Leviathan has been known to swallow people alive. And I found that an interesting statement. But especially because Alora always says to me, I'm not food, mommy, I'm not food. But if you're in a state of envy, you do become food. So the corresponding virtue for this is kindness, which is satisfaction, and compassion. Gluttony is ruled by the fifth level of demon known as Beelzebub. Now he's the prince of demons, the lord of the flies. Temperance is his virtue, which means humanity, equanimity. And temperance is self-restraint in your conduct and in your indulgence of appetites. It's moderation. And when reading this, I was thinking of the Native American, the red path, because in the red path, that's what they say, moderation in all things, temperance. Now, our good friend Satan is the demon for the sixth level of ego. Now, it was interesting because I found out that the word Satan or Satan in Sumerian language is actually means administrator. So I guess he's the administrator for the sixth level of ego, which is wrath. Now, Satan is also known as the devil and the force of evil. And the virtue here is patience, which is forgiveness and mercy, which I talked about from the course's point of view, or from that CBS presentation. Our last and seventh is sloth, and that's Belphegor. Now he allows creation only to steal it away from you. And so our last virtue is diligence, which is persistence, tenacity, and ethics. So there it is. The ego is viewed from the course and from a more Gnostic point of view. And any way you look at it, the ego is not our friend. So how do we know that we're doing God's will and not the ego's? We must check into our inner self. Do you remember me asking you to listen for the words? Are we experiencing joy, happiness, peace of mind? Then would we know that we are doing what we need to do and be where we are meant to be. Namaste.
Well done.
Thank you, Susan. Can you hear our applause?
Yes, I could.
You know, that's the one thing that has been missing for 2 years while we were doing Zoom, is that when we were, we could not show our appreciation for our speakers and different things, but now we can. We have more people in the church today than we have on Zoom, which we've been kind of equal the last 3 weeks. This is our third meeting back, and we have more people in here today than we have online, which is probably a good sign. So, does anyone have anything that they would like to say to Susan or ask questions?
I want to thank her for that talk because it reminds me of Mike's favorite phrase, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Sometimes being righteous about something doesn't make you happy. You might feel like you did the right thing. You paid them back. You made them suffer for what they did to you, but it doesn't make you happy. So thank you very much. It was a great talk. I loved it.
Thank you, Jerry. We have Steve Barker with us now.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah, I really like that, whether you would rather be right, or I like to say effective, because being righteous is certainly not effective in dealing with people. But Susan, I have a question for you. Where can I study a little bit more about the 7 deadly sins and their demons? I'd never heard their demons being brought forth, so.
Oh my goodness. Well, actually, would you believe it was on TikTok?
She got it off TikTok.
There's a guy, I know I'm new here, but there's actually.
And it's also, but Steve, it's in the Gnostic teachings.
Okay.
So, which is why it was actually sent over me. I don't usually do things like TikTok, but I get things sent to me from there. And so sometimes, in fact, most of the time,
Come up
the
here.
things they sent over are very pertinent to my Gnostic way of thinking.
We only have one camera. That's
Oh.
why. Okay, Nikita is new to us here. She is, are you visiting or you moved here from Victoria, Texas?
I moved here from
She's
Victoria, Texas.
Victoria, Texas, and she got in touch with Jerry, and she's here today, and we recognized her as a comrade soul. We thank you. But anyway, she said that she had something in addition to that, so go ahead.
You were talking about the ego and the different states. There's actually a guy on YouTube that does some lectures over books that talk all about what you were just talking about. If y'all are ever interested in more information, I have it available.
You call his name?
I don't, but like I said, I have him on my YouTube because I listen to a lot of his lectures. He talks about a lot of good things like that. And he just briefly describes from different-
Samuel? Is it Samuel?
No, I want to say that his name.
Nikita, you can text me or send me the information. I'll pass it on to everybody.
You'll pass it on to everybody.
That sounds
She said
good.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Nikita.
Thank
We're glad that you're here.
Thank you, I'm glad to be here.
And now we have Bill Clark.
Hi, Susan. Haven't talked to you for a while.
I know, and it's so good to see you, Bill.
Well, it's
Really
good to see you also, and also Alora.
Yeah.
You touched on it real lightly, but I just wanted to make the emphasis about that. The emotions, you know, when you have something that comes up, you need to stop and say, what emotion am I feeling? And that will then let you try to get that ego defused. If you can
Exactly.
help identify that emotion on that emotional barometer. You know, joy, love is the very highest, powerless is the very lowest, satisfaction, you know, neutral. And so you always want to just check in with where your emotional barometer is. Thank you.
But if you're not at peace, Bill, then you're not doing the right thing and you're letting ego take over.
If you
Yeah.
don't have joy and peace in your heart, you're not doing it right. Marion. our
Okay.
Marion.
Oh.
Hi, Susan.
Hello there.
Susan, there are no coincidences. I am working on re-editing and revising the guide's second book, Spirit Speak. And this week I was working on their message titled Jailbreaking at its Finest. So I really enjoyed your talk today. The gist of their message fits in exactly with yours. So thank you.
Well,
Thank you, Marianne, and we're glad that you're
Still
here.
being part of the group.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Yeah. For me, ego is always complicated and it needs excuses and things and long explanations. And when I'm in, when I'm in, not in ego, but I'm in spirit, it is simple and it is joyful and happiness and requires no excuses or explanations. And that's, so if I'm looking at anything that is personal to me, if I'm complicating things and I'm unhappy and I'm upset, I know that's my ego. It is not my connection to God, and it is not a spiritual way of being. So that's the way, and it goes right along with Susan's talk. And we've learned this through the course, expands on this all throughout the course, that that's our main separation, is our ego, which we create, and God's love is simple and constant, and it only brings joy. Is that right, Susan?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. And Laura has joined us. Laura is Susan's adopted daughter, and she is a joy. She sometimes dances for us. Hi, Laura. Hi, sweetie. All right. So if there's nothing else, we will continue with the musical portion of our service.
Did I pull out over here?
Sure. Yeah. So Let us welcome Fred Brown.
There we go. It's a nice song. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You imagine there's no countries. It's easy, ain't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religions to imagine all the people living for peace. You must say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need, greed or hunger. Family, man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Oh yeah. You may say I'm a dreamer. Oh, but I'm not the only one. And I hope someday you will join me, and this world will live as one. As one. One.
Fred, it was wonderful. If you're not touched in the heart by that, then probably you're not even alive. So that's really good. Thank you, Fred.
You bet.
Okay. It is now time for our celebration of abundance, which I'll say the thing after I get my dollars out. So we hold over our hearts what we are to contribute. And that, by the way, is between you and God. It is nobody else's business. And we say, divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive through infinity, I am
prosperous.
prosperous. All right, we are all prosperous. If I give you prosperity, it increases mine. So we need to always do that. All right. Will you make sure that Jerry gets that?
Okay.
Okay. She asked that one of us bring it to her since she's not here. Well, we've already done the thing that I was going to do earlier, and that was to introduce Nikita. We're glad that you're with us. We hope that you will come back and that you will, be a regular member of our fellowship. And if you ever have a time or something, a message that you would like to give, we want to, give you opportunity to speak, just as we have done Susan. We have no particular pastor or minister that watches over us. We watch over each other. And so if you have something that you would like to do some Sunday morning, just get in touch with Jerry and she will make it happen. We have several people who are scattered around the world that come to us on Sunday morning, and you're welcome to be one if you would like. And that goes for anyone. Just get in touch with Jerry and you can become a speaker for Fellowship of Spirit, just like Jerry and just like Mark and Travis and all the other people who come to us regularly with messages of love and unity. And we never talk about all those negative things like, that separate us from God, because we are a positive and loving fellowship. We support each other and with compassion, and we don't condemn each other or judge each other. And that's important. It's important to me, or else I wouldn't be here. I'm not here to condemn or to decide who is a sinner and who's not a sinner. That is not part of my repertoire. And I think the people who join here who are members and who think of themselves as the family of fellowship probably think pretty much along the same lines. So anyway, is there anything else that anyone would like to say at this time?
Ron, I have a request.
Oh, okay, come up here and do it. Marion has a request.
Okay, most of you know that over the past couple of years, I've had some vision changes, which have made a difference in what I can do here at the church and other places. My daughter went online and researched, and there is an optometrist in Albuquerque that I'm going to see on Tuesday. And I would like to have all of your prayers, please, for this to turn out for the highest possible good. I talked to my eye doctor here in town, and he said, keep the appointment. Those people do good work. She doesn't work with surgery or eye drops or anything. She has devices that she will test me for to see which will help. And I just ask for your blessings on that, because it could make a huge, it could make a huge difference in what I can do here and other places. So thank you very much. That'll be Tuesday afternoon. It's about a 2 or 3 hour exam. And I'm hoping for the very best.
Well, we will certainly keep you in our thoughts and prayers and send you light and love, Marion, and hope for the very best that your eyesight will be restored to back when you were about 25. How would that be?
I'm hoping for the very best.
That's
for all
right.
that.
Absolutely. We have a Course in Miracles study group that meets on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock. And Susan Barnes is our leader. Is there anything you'd like to say about our Course in Miracles group, Susan?
Oh, besides the fact that it's one of the things that keeps me going and in a positive, loving way to perceive our daily living situations in different lights and just to learn to let our light shine and be a beacon of love to everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan.
Ron, I'd like to say that kind of like the ego subject today, we don't just go through the book page after chapter. We pick a subject matter and Susan looks up passages throughout the whole book that pertain to that. And we have such great discussions that sometimes it takes us weeks to go through one subject. But the discussions are wonderful and we answer questions and we talk about it. And when you don't understand something, like I don't for the most part, I've got Susan and Mike and Gaia to help me, relate to it a little better. So if you want to learn more about Course in Miracles, this is a great way to do it on Zoom.
So actually, yeah, and also it enables someone who's new to Course to be able to jump in and feel like they're not behind, because we don't do the, from the front to the back. It's by subject, and so there is no starting point or ending point really. So anytime that you come will be pertinent, and you're welcome, and it will become useful to you immediately. So that's our Course in Miracles. On Thursday night at 6:30, we have Power of 8, and Margaret Cheesebro is our leader for that. Margaret, do you want to say something? Or you want me to talk?
Go ahead.
Okay. Our Power of 8 group, and you can be a part of our Power of 8 group just by joining us on Zoom, and we would welcome you. And what we are working with the not a theory, but the practice that prayer and sending out of love and light and intention is multiplied when people get together and do it all together at the same time. And then people send us people who need help, people who are having disease problems or life problems or some kind of problems that they need a little extra help. And we spend an hour or so and we address each and every person. We are probably averaging around 20 people that we do this for, people who are, people that we know or people that other people know that call us. And I talked to Bob Bryan this past week, and he is having still a hard time. Is why he's still with us in the spirit, but he is having a hard time. His cancer has expanded to his liver and to his bones, and he's doing a lot of chemo, and I don't know about radiation, but his treatment really drains him, and he has a lot of pain. So anyway, so if you have time, give him a call. He would welcome a call, and also his beautiful wife Kate, who is really doing a lot to help him. And it's diseases and these things are hard on the caregiver as much as the person who is needing the care. So let's keep Bob and Kate in our prayers if you
And Ron,
could.
if I could make a suggestion, include all those in the healthcare field that are caring for him.
Right.
too.
Yeah, we need to always remind remember our first responders who come to us, as well as our caregivers in the hospitals and doctors' offices and counseling services and all sorts of manner all around the world who give care to others. And we should probably keep those in our mind when we are trying to give extra light and love to other people. Thank you, Marion, for reminding me of that. Okay. Any other announcements, Jerry?
No, but keep in mind that we do have the park booked for June 21st on Monday evening at 4 o'clock for our summer solstice celebration of family and friends.
And that's the one that we have traditionally used, the one on 30th Street, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
One, up above Si Senor, what's the name? It's not, is it Kiwanis Park? Is that the Kiwanis Park?
It
Okay.
is the Kiwanis Park, and
Ah.
it's the Henry Pavilion at the Kiwanis Park. But you'll
Okay.
see us, we'll be there from 4 to 7 or 8, somewhere in there.
And you have time to get ready. It's not going to happen until June, but June will be here before we know it. Time
That's right.
just marches on so quickly. So
I keep forgetting to ask Fred. Fred, are you going to be able to do music that day?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
that's great.
I hate to assume anything.
One day I thought she said the 20th, and now she says the 21st. Which one is it?
Is it 20th or 21st, Jerry?
21 or 20.
Jerry?
Hello.
It is the 20th.
20th.
It's a Monday, so it is the 20th.
All right.
Because the 21st fell on Tuesday, and that didn't work for you and several other people.
So, okay, right. So it'll be Monday, the 20th of June. Is that correct? And that's about as close to the solstice
That's
as
the morning of the solstice.
Yeah.
Because it actually starts, I think, at 12 that afternoon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What time is this that y'all are talking about?
We're
4
talking.
o'clock,
4 o'clock.
4
Oh.
to 7.
We didn't get.
4 to 7 on a Monday at the park.
Is there a potluck?
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
come here and hand me that. We didn't get. I need to
Bring
get
all
my
the
power
food you
plugged
can.
into this thing. Can't quite reach it. Can you see that one right there? And that to me. Yeah, that's
One
one.
to your left there, Steve. The
No,
power plug.
that thing.
20th.
We haven't decided if it's going to be total potluck or if the church is going to provide something. We're probably not going to do the burgers and brats that we've done in past years, but last year I think we just did a total potluck. So whatever
I thought
people
we were
want.
gonna have ribeyes and
Yeah,
and standing rib roasts and stuff.
on your dime.
Oh, okay.
I want a turducken.
That depends on whether I win the lottery between now and then, so.
That's right.
Okay.
And if
All
I
right,
win
but
it,
it
we're
will
having,
be good food, it will be blessed, and it will give great nourishment, and we will love it, because we always do. I love potluck. Anyway, so is there anything else we need to talk about?
don't think so. I think that covers it.
All right. So that sort of brings to conclusion our services for today.
You wore Sheba out.
Yeah, she's just, I don't know if y'all can see her, but she's stretched out here really, really. I have had a new addition into my life. I have a dog that is teaching me all sorts of stuff from, from humility to toleration to other stuff. She's just a lover and she loves me to death. However, she ate my couch the other day, the cushions off my couch. And she was an escape artist, and she kept getting out. And we kept going up and up and up on the fence and plugging the holes and everything. Every place that there was a weakness, she would find her way out. But now we have gone 2 weeks, and she has not escaped one time. However, she stays in her little prison, and she wants to eat things that are cloth. And she lived a long time on the reservation by herself. And so little pieces of cloth and paper, anything of paper, she wants to get it and chew it. And, but she's really quite a deal. She's about a year old, but she's not been socialized. So she doesn't know. And I when I can pull myself together long enough and stop screaming at her to tell, to realize that she just doesn't know, and that it's my job as her human to teach her those things, and she will eventually learn. And but anyway, so at first she was just, everything was a game. Even if I scolded her, it was funny to her. Yeah. So anyway, she is progressing, and she is helping me to progress, because I don't think anyone or anything comes into my life that's not here to teach me to grow and become closer, and when all those virtues that Susan was talking about earlier. So anyway, it'll be a blessing. And next week I'm gonna be going to Albuquerque. I'll be back for the Sunday service, but I'm hoping to get her a little companion that will help her, because she's bored more than anything else. And so I've contacted an organization in Albuquerque called Watermelon Mountain Ranch. And they are, I guess they advertise on Albuquerque television and whatnot, and they rescue pets, both cats and dogs, and they have a lot of money. They've already paid for all of my dog's shots and going to get her spayed. They're going to pay for all that. They're just wonderful people, and they have anyway. They have a little dog that they've showed me that I think is going to work for me to help. Angel is my dog's name, by the way, and so she's hopefully it'll help her to integrate into society a little easier and better. Anyway,
A little bigger of a pack.
right. So we need to have a prayer to close this down and guide us through the next week. Does anyone like to offer it? Well, I will. Father, Mother God, we thank you for this day, for this time for us to be together. We thank you for Susan Barnes Smith and her message that she gave us today. We thank you for entering into her life so many years ago and remaining there that she may share her wisdom with us. We thank you for Fred, who took the time many, many years ago to learn how to be a musician and to practice that trade, that he might be with us today and to share his musical voice and those vibrations with us. We thank you for Steve Barker, who has been on this spiritual journey for a long, long time, and for him researching a spiritual topic in Science of Mind and bringing that to us. And having, we just thank you for our brother Steve. He does so many things for our fellowship. We thank you for our newcomer, Nikita, has moved here from Victoria, Texas, which is a nice place, and it's not so unlike here, but we thank you for that. We thank you for her. We ask that you bless these lives. We ask that you bless the lives of every person in fellowship and all of the people that they love, and protect them and keep them safe. We ask that you would make yourself present, your presence known in the countries that are at war right now in Ukraine, and people are suffering, and that you would bring some semblance of joy and peace to those people. They're having a very, very hard time right now. And there are people in the world that are helping them, and other people that are trying to take them down. And that's the way of our world. And we know that. And Susan talked about the war of the ego, and sometimes that spreads out. And it is all opportunity for us to learn and to love better, according to the course. We thank you for all these methods of information that has come to us, and that those people who are able to express those things and interpret them for us. We ask that you would bless and keep each and every one of us until we meet again. Namaste.
Thank you, Ron.